Hello guys, did you check out the new GTA 6 trailer? Everybody talks about the amount of detail in this game, like the bubbles in this glass. Today we will add exactly the same to our GTA game. As always, we start by adding some assets. In this case we're gonna download an animation from Mixamo and a 3D model of a beer bottle from Sketchfab. Okay, so I've unzipped the bottle model over here, and we can add it to our scene. First let's extract the materials so that we can edit them. So now we can change things like transparency. So we want this bottle to be really transparent so we can see the bubbles inside. And I think we should get rid of the bottle cap, because if the beer is bubbling, that's only when the cap is off. So we can easily do that by making this material transparent. Okay, so now let's unpack this prefab. We don't need a camera and lighting, so I'll just drag this out, remove this part. Let's call it beer bottle, and for now let's make it a bit bigger. Let's make it 10 times bigger so we can just edit it more easily. Yeah, so now let's add the bubbles inside, and we can use a particle system for that. So just add a new game object, call it bubbles, and add the particle system. Now let's give this the proper rotation. And of course we need a particle. You see that it's now pink. So we need to have a material in here. So we can create a material. Let's call it math bubbles. And we can set the material to this. Now we can add like a texture over here. I've already have a texture that's suitable, so got this white dot over here that we can use. Let's make it transparent. Okay, cool. Maybe even a little bit transparency on the white as well, so like this. And now we only need to like resize the bubbles. Let's make the shape cone without angles like this. You can just scale it. So this already looks a little bit like bubbles, but we also want to change the size. These gas bubbles start small and become bigger once they go up. So we're gonna change the size over lifetime from small to big. You can change the curve if you want, but I think this is already fine. I think we should also change the velocity over lifetime. And we also want the particles, the bubbles, to go a little bit faster when they are rising, like they're increasing in speed. I think that looks a bit more realistic. So we can set the velocity over lifetime and make it a curve. Now for the y-axis we can make it an increasing curve, so the bubbles speed up once they go higher. And we can also add some orbital speed. This really looks more like soda gas. Alright, so that's it. So now what we can do is let's just add a rigid body to this beer bottle for now, to see what happens if it falls down. You can also add a collider, mass collider. And I have this script, it's called okay, now let's test it. I'm going to add a rigid body and a collider, so that we can just observe what happens when this bottle will fall over. Okay, so we can see the bubbles inside. That's cool. And if I push the button, the bottle, you can see that the bubbles still move in the direction of the bottleneck, but actually we can see that the liquid goes a little bit further than our bubbles. And also a few of our bubbles are getting a little bit outside of the bottle. So we need to do some tweaks here to make it look even better. So first of all, this radius is maybe a little bit too large. So now the bubbles will stay better inside the bottle, but you can see that this part there is no bubbles. If I just extend these bubbles, they will also go outside of the bottle, because they don't follow the shape of the bottle. They don't know about the bottle and they just go their own way. But the easiest thing to solve this is to just copy this whole particle system and move it a little bit upwards over here. And now we just need to tweak this one a little bit. I think it needs to have a little bit less. Bubbles, and we can change the scale a bit. So that it fits in the upper part of the bottle. So these are just the bubbles for this part, and we need to tweak it a little bit further. This size over lifetime, I think we can skip. So the bubbles have already grown over here and they are large enough. And we don't need to increase this velocity anymore, I think. Let's make this just constant. And this orbital speed we can keep. Make it a little bit smaller because it will cause a lot of the bubbles to go out of the bottle neck. So something like this. They are now a little bit too small, these bubbles. So we can change the size. Let's see how this looks. Needs a little bit of time before the bubbles show up. We see now that we have something like a little bit of a glitch. That the bubbles are sometimes showing very clearly and sometimes not. That has to do with the depth buffer.
At this point, I hope he brought life insurance.
What we can do about that is to change this to low resolution. And now you can see that all the bubbles are visible from any angle. And some of the bubbles of the upper part are still moving out. So we need to make that a little bit better. But apart from that, I think it looks really nice. And you can see that if we would use the gravity instead of the just the velocity, like use a gravity modifier, what you would normally do to make particles go up, then we would have a problem and the bubbles would go out of the bottle. But now they are always aligned with the bottle. So just to demonstrate that, if we change the gravity modifier to, let's say, minus 0.1, and then observe the beer bottle, you see that the particles now are moving out of the bottle, out of the bottle. They don't follow the bottle. They don't know about the bottle, as I said. But because they are also rotated together with the bottle when the bottle falls, they will still move in the same direction as the bottle. I've also created this bubbles shader with shader graph, just so we can compare if that would also be a good alternative for using the particle system. So I've created this second bottle, and this one has a cylinder inside, and this cylinder has material that uses the bubble shader, and this is just a texture that is moving with bubbles. So you can see the difference over here. Of course, this other bottle has a texture that's a bit blue. We could change that and make it transparent, so that would make it look a little bit better. But even so, we still have problems because these bubbles are moving independently of each other, and that we cannot do that if we create a shader with a moving texture like this. So then you would need to create a really complicated shader if you want to have an effect like this, and so that's not so easy to do. So in our situation, the best thing is to just use the particles to show them as bubbles. I want to show you even a third way to create the bubbles. I've downloaded this video from YouTube. It's a video of bubbles. I just edited a little bit, and I've got my bottle over here. What we can do now is create a cylinder, and then on this cylinder we can add a video component, video player, and assign the bubbles video to it, play it looping, and now insert this cylinder into the bottle. Something like this. And now we have another way of displaying the bubbles inside the bottle. Actually, I think this is the method that looks the coolest. The only thing is that this may cost a lot of performance, so our frame rate of the game will drop if we use this, because it's playing video, and that's kind of heavy on the GPU. So I will stick with the method of using the particle system. We're gonna do something with this bottle. Now that we have this nice animated bubbles bottle, we want the player to be able to pick it up and then drink from it, and that can be like a health increase. So I've created two prefabs with a rigid body and some scripts to make them move as soon as they get hit, and a collider. But the only difference between these two prefabs is that this one has the default layer and this one has the bottle layer. There are other methods to do that, but I choose to use this, just copy a prefab, very easy. And now, because this one has the bottle layer, we can detect it, and we are able to pick it up. And once the player has picked it up and drunk the bottle, He cannot pick it up again, because that would mean that he could get infinite health. So then we just drop the instance of this prefab. So this is then a bottle that's lying on the floor that's not able to be picked up by the player. That's the only difference. You could also do this by script, but I chose to do it in this way. So let's take a look at what happens then. I've added a button, the E button, and I've added a task to it to pick up things. I've also added the bottle to the left hand of the player, because the animation also uses the left hand to drink. So it will be invisible in normal situations, but once the player has picked up a bottle, he can carry it in his hand. If we take a look at the code, you can see that as soon as you get near the bottle, so this is the fixed update of the player, where we check things that are interesting for the player. So if there is a bottle near to him, we will show this message that he can press E to pick up the bottle, and if he does so, we go to the code that is triggered by the input when you press the E key. Then we will destroy that bottle that's there. We will make him have a bottle so that it will be visible, and the bottle will be used like a weapon. So you can go through all the weapons that you have, and one of the weapons is the bottle. And once that one is selected and you press the left mouse button, instead of firing, he will just drink it. So this is what happens. We destroy this bottle once he picks it up, and we make this one visible. But this is just a bottle that has no rigid body or anything. It's just for visualization of the bottle in the hand. And this bottle will be used during the animation that will be played. So in the animator we have this drink animation that we downloaded from Mixamo, and it will become active once the player starts to drink the bottle. And after that he will throw the bottle to the floor, and his health will increase. You can see that in the update function, because this of course should not be in the fixed update, but in the update instead, because if you have a higher frame rate, you want also to be smoother. So over here we can see the time left drinking that's set. That's a few seconds, and when the player starts drinking, the animation layer of the drinking will become active. We will do that with a linear interpolation, because we don't want to become it active at once, but slowly fade in with the animation that's already running. So it will not look like it's a very jerking animation, but it's just smoothly transitioning from the normal animation to this drinking. And then when he's finished drinking, when the time is up, we will increase the health of the player, and we will instantiate that second bottle, that bottle that cannot be detected by the player, but it has everything like a rigid body and collider, so it will drop on the floor and act like a normal bottle. We will give it some torque to make it a little bit spin, and we will go back to the previous weapon, which is just the simple punch. Okay, now we can see this in action. If I get close to the bottle on the table over there, I can press E to pick it up. The message is visible. Once we do that, the bottle will be in our weapons, and we can switch to the bottle and we can then drink it. As soon as I now press the left mouse button, the drinking animation will play, and after that the bottle will be dropped on the floor and we can't pick it up now again. That concludes our video for today. Thanks a lot for your support and see you in another video.